All right, cool. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mr. Therapist Podcast. I hope you're having a good week. I hope things are going well. We are recording here for, I think this is our third episode that we are recording since we're relaunching up and going. And man, it's going well. I'm super excited. Um, I love this long form dialogue, this long form podcast. I think it's a great opportunity to um, just to talk about some of the things that are important for for individuals who value family, for individuals who are goal driven, are ambitious, but also care about optimizing their mental health, their wellness, who want to or go getters, um, but maybe struggle sometimes with um, feeling confident in themselves, struggle with knowing how they can, do more for their family, knowing how they can, um, you know, make sure that they're creating a deep level of impact in the work that they're doing, but also as a provider, as a leader in their family. Um, and so we talk about stuff like that here, mental health stuff. We talk about personal development, family relationships, how to improve those, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your kids, um, your parents, uncles, relationships, friendships. So that's what we're doing here today, and I'm super stoked to be here. And just wanted to, I guess, ask you a question today. Just kind of feeling inspired from the last episode that we talked about ways that we do show up as individuals that sometimes we don't give each other enough credit for. I'm just kind of want to ask you, how are you showing up today? How are you showing up? How have you shown up this week, per se, I guess, with the people that you love? Whether it's a spouse or a child, or even showed up at work, even showed up for yourself in some ways. Some of us might need to show up for ourselves by giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves a little bit of self compassion, right? And so I encourage that to be a common practice for you, especially if you are chasing greatness, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are family driven. It's an important thing to mix in that self compassion along with the rest of the recipe there, because as guys, uh, it can be hard for us to access that part for ourselves. So yeah, I had a great weekend. Celebrated the wife's birthday, and it was a success. She had an amazing time. She had fun. Um, One of the things that looking back and reflecting a little bit on the weekend, um, it's so crazy how as parents we there's this like tug of war of feeling like we need some time alone, me and my wife together without our kids. But then, so we plan it out. Thank God we have parents and family members who can kind of step in and be able to babysit for us and give us that time with each other. But it's almost like more than a few hours away is a little bit too much. Me and my wife, we spent the night away with friends and woke up the next morning, and the first thing I thought about, I'm like, man, I miss my daughters. I miss my son. So there's always that guilt, right? Of like you take some time for yourself, but then also wish you could have the kids with you. It's a tug of war, but we had an amazing time. It was great. And then I know this week um, has I wanted to mention and bring something up that happened this week in the U.S. that has an impact, right? And that is the death of Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk, was shot and did not survive the bullet that pierced his throat, and it was a tough moment. I think that you know whether doesn't matter what sort of uh, place on the side of the fence that you fall on. It's really tough to see a young man, 31-year-old man, who has a family, who has two kids that are pretty similar in age to my kids, who has a wife, who is in my age group. I'm a little older than him, but um, and to see something like that happen, again, whether you agree with the man or not is sort of beyond the point. It's just the impact of that. I think I wanted to share that with you because two reasons actually, and it's all related um, to the theme of this podcast. But the first reason is because as a man, as a family driven individual, like you think about that, and the first thing I think about is like, man, like this guy just left behind a family, just left behind a wife and two children. And you start thinking about how you can grip, your kids a little tighter that night, how you can spend a little more time just sitting with your children, playing with them, um, because at any moment it can kind of be taken from you, right? And so these moments, I think that they're tough moments, difficult moments, um, but in a way, like it's how lucky are we to be able to sit here today and kind of reflect on our family and how we show up for our family, right? While we still can, um, because one of the realities of life is death, right? And it's going to happen to all of us, and at some point or another. And so it made me reflect on that, but it also made me reflect on, man, like with the time that we have now, with the time that we were provided, like how can we make the most of our time, of our talents, of our impact? How can we how can I do a little bit more to in the chasing of my goals, in the shaping of the impact that I want to leave on my family and on earth? Like how can am I being effective enough, right? And so that comes with like a little bit of a caveat, because last episode we talked about like you're enough, right? So like I think there's a healthy way to look at your goals. Like there's a healthy way to be ambitious. There's a healthy way to be driven. And that doesn't come from this anxiety of like, I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm falling behind, I'm in this scarcity type of mindset, this anxious sort of catching up type of mindset. No, it comes from, there's a healthier place to be able to do that from. And that place is from like, okay, I have talents, I have impact. I was, put on this earth for a reason, and I have a mission. And, there's probably times where I can make sure that I'm effective in doing the things that I need to do to put that mission forward, right? Whether that is putting my phone away at the dinner table because, part of my mission is to impact my family and to leave an impression on them, and to be able to build a relationship, build moments where we can just talk around the dinner table, where everyone can feel seen, everyone can feel heard, everyone can feel supported, where my kids know that I'm interested in them, where my wife knows that I support her. Like where can I fill those moments up, right? When it comes to the work realm, it's almost like, man, okay, so how am I being as effective following up with clients, or am I being as effective marketing, right? Am I being as effective being on social media a little more? Am I being as effective putting in a little extra time into my clients, so that like when we come in the door, like we're ready to go, we're ready to roll, right? And whatever we're working on, am I showing up well enough for the trainees that I supervise, for the associates that I supervise? So it kind of really just it kind of has that type of an impact. And so I don't know, again, how you find yourself just experiencing what happened. And I don't know if you saw it, and if you sort of saw the news and follow the news, but um, what an important, I was going to say, what an important way to I guess to honor, right, the life of a 31-year-old who is a family driven man, right? And so like part of that would be to reflecting on like your own life as well, and how you can kind of show up a little bit differently, that's more aligned with who I am anyway. So I wanted to share that with you, but I also wanted to share something else that is around this same topic, that Erica Kirk, his wife, and I don't know too much about the family, but I know, but because this happened, I was really invested in figuring out, wait, what happened, and his wife went on the on his show. I think, I don't know. I saw a statement that she made, right? Like she did like this announcement, just talking about his company and his impact. And I wanted to touch on something that she said. Again, try to separate, if you're kind of uh, don't fall into the political divisiveness that comes with this topic, right? Like let's keep this to family, let's keep this to impact, let's keep this to mental health and personal development, right? Like let's keep it to the scope of um, the scope of uh, practice, for lack of a better word, to what this podcast is about. And one of the things she said that really touched my heart, um, was that her husband would come home every night or every day and would ask her, "How can I better serve you as a husband? How can I better serve you as a man? How can I show up better for you?" And to be honest with you, that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I took away from watching that video, because it again, it just hit me back and made me reflect on my life a little bit. And I'm like, wow, like what an important question to ask, right? Because a lot of us are thinking that. A lot of us guys, like, who have families, who identify as providers for the family, like we're thinking that already, right? Like I will literally be going on a mindful walk, trying to de-stress, or trying to invest in being healthy, invest some time in being healthy by going on a 1 hour walk. And I'll take a breath, and then I'll like try to appreciate nature. But then my head will go to how I need to show up better for my family. Or my head will go to how there's like ways that I can continue to uh, that I should be doing X, Y, and Z at work, so that like I can uh, provide better for my family, right? And so like we're already thinking this on the inside, when maybe nobody's looking, when people think that we're when people describe the guy as just like glazed over, right? Like just thinking in space. But like we're thinking this already, right? Especially if your family value driven, we're already thinking about this. But the impact on that is limited. The impact on that is limited because it stays within you. And maybe it gives you a little bit more motivation to, when finish my walk and I'm gonna get home and cracking at it, maybe. But it stays with you, right? Like, when does your partner ever hear you asking that type of a question? Like, what an impact that would be if your partner if you came home one day and your partner, the first thing that came out of your mouth was, "Hey, love you, missed you," right? But baby, how can I show up better for you as a husband? How can I provide? How can I better provide for you? How can I better service you? I think that was the word. He's like, how can I service you better? Right? Like, what a word, right? What a statement. What a question to ask, you know? Um, and and it really hit me because, again, like, I've been asking myself that question about my family, I don't know, 100 times. 100 times in a week, I'm asking myself that question. But I don't think I've asked that question to my wife, right? So it inspired me to ask that question more often. And I kind of want to make it a goal of mine to ask that question every single day. How can I show up better? And not just to my wife. I want to ask that question to my kids. I want to ask that question to my clients. I want to ask that question to my friends. I want to ask that question to my parents. I want to ask that question to my brother. Like, like that is a question that I really want to ask. And there's a part of me, and some of you might be listening to this and be like, man, that is going to be like a lot of time that you're going to be offering yourself up to people. Sure, sure. Like a little part of me like gets anxious about that. Man, I don't have time to do that, this and that. But it's not about that. It's not about that. Like I don't have to lose myself in providing service and providing support. I don't have to lose myself. Like I actually got to get more disciplined with myself. I have to be more disciplined protecting time that I go to the gym, or time that I meditate, or time that I do my spiritual literature study. Like the things that replenish me, right? Like I have to protect that space even more so that I can get out of that. So I can, when I get out there, like I can be a better provider to my family, to my friends, to my loved ones, right? So there's a difference here between maybe being codependent. It's a big trigger word, right? Being codependent, losing yourself um, and taking care for others, or losing yourself, or not even losing yourself, but giving yourself up, right? Losing who you are for other people, people pleasing, sacrificing your own values, sacrificing your needs. There we go. Now I'm digging here, trying to find the right words. There's a difference. There is a difference between wanting to provide more, wanting to be of service more to your kids, to your family, to your important relationships. And to do that, you have to protect your boundaries. You have to protect the things that you need. There's a difference between that and sacrificing your needs for other people. One of them is a very healthy way of doing this world, a very healthy way of being supportive, of being caring, of being a leader. And the other one can be looked at as codependence, right? So I wanted to share that with you. And along that, I wanted to, it kind of brings me into my next, a segues good into this concept that is important uh, for us that are value driven, family value driven, ambitious people in this world, to an important concept that we have to be more open minded about in our relationships, our intimate partners, uh, people who are struggling right now, maybe with their partner, who can't get on the same page, who you find yourself arguing about the same thing. Maybe you find yourself walking on eggshells. Maybe you find yourself walking on eggshells with your kids, right? If you got teenagers, or uh, kids who, as they grow up, they become more independent, right? And they want to do things their way. Maybe you find yourself lost in conflict and not the relationship you want to have with your dad, with your mom. The concept is called taking responsibility. We have to take ownership and responsibility for our relationships. And we're walking a fine line when I say that, because I want to continue to reiterate that taking responsibility of your relationship, taking responsibility of the conflict that continues to happen in your relationship, doesn't mean becoming codependent. It doesn't mean fixing your wife, fixing your kid, fixing your dad, fixing the person that you have a problem with. It doesn't mean that. It means accepting things for how they are right now, accepting, looking at the realness, the reality of the truth of what's in front of you, right? Maybe the truth is, like, me and my partner have been fighting for the last 5, 10 years. Me and my partner can't seem to get along. sorry. All right, ready? Me and my partner can't seem to get along. Me and my partner haven't had sex in 3 months. Me and my partner, whenever we go out and we drink, we end up fighting with each other. Me and my partner aren't happy right now. Whatever those truths are, right? Being able to look at those truths for what they are and being able to take ownership for what you bring. What am I bringing into this relationship that is creating this reality? Right? How can I take ownership of my resentment? How can I take ownership of my resentment that, me and my wife haven't been intimate in the past 3 months, and that because we haven't been intimate in the past 3 months, now I'm annoyed. I don't have time, capacity to really like even listen to her. Like I don't even when she reaches over to touch my hand and cuddle my hair, like I get just frustrated and upset. How can I take responsibility over that frustration so that I can start learning how to change that, how to let go of that, how to talk about that, how to talk about the feelings that I'm owning without blaming her or making her feel like she's the bad guy, right? With my parents, right? My parents can be so stubborn. This is if I'm just bringing a scenario here, right? Like my parents can be so stubborn. My dad never listens to me. My mom doesn't, is always butting in my business, right? How can I take more responsibility in that relationship to address the problems that are happening? What do I need to change? Do I need to create more boundaries? Do I need to have more difficult conversations? Do I need to 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 be more honest about how I've been feeling? Create more separations in these relationships. And I'm not, and when I say that, because I'm because I value family, like I don't like creating separation in relationships. But I will create, listen to this, I will create a separation in a relationship with someone to avoid cutting them off, right? I will spend less time with a family member, be more strategic with how I spend time with a family member to avoid getting so upset with the family member that I can't end up ever talking to them again. I'm willing to do that, right? And so for us, this concept of how do we take more responsibility over the things happening to us, this can, and we're talking about it in relationships right now. We've talked about it in just this reflection of like, being more of service to your partner, right? And how that's different from being codependent, and there's a fine line there. One of them requires, being codependent means that you sacrifice your needs for somebody else to make somebody else happy. You lose yourself in doing that, while the healthy version of that is you protect your needs. You talk about your needs. You address your needs. You give yourself, you learn to fill your own cup. You learn to create a structure in your life that gives you the capacity to be there for your family, right? And so you got to, and for that to happen, you got to take responsibility for that too. What do I need as a man in this relationship to keep going? I need to feel loved. Maybe I need to feel like I'm providing some value. How do I make sure that I know that so that I don't make my wife feel like she needs to be the one to make me feel loved, right? So this is actually a concept that happens a lot in therapy, that prevents couples from moving forward in therapy. A lot of time what happens is there's not enough responsibility taking. There's a lot of responsibility blaming and not a lot of responsibility taking, and it becomes a strong issue where, even as a therapist, like I'm so limited to be able to help you if we can't start learning to take some responsibility. right? So, and outside of relationships, I think this also applies to taking responsibility and ownership over your situation, over your goals, over the things that you want in life, over your role at work, right? A lot of us maybe we're really in this place where like, man, like I really want to change, where we're at. I want to provide more for my family financially. Like, how do I take responsibility of that? You know? So a lot of different um right now actually I'm a lot of the some of the topics that are coming up in therapy uh over, well, not really just right now, over time, but have been even how our kids are growing up in a social media world. And it can be a scary thing, a scary experience, knowing that like they're not only do they have access to things that maybe like me, people my age, never had access to growing up, but they're learning at a speed that is like far greater than what we're going to be able to catch up with, right? And so like what do we do if they have this social media thing that's like pulling them away maybe from the messages that we want them to know? Like, how do we protect them from that? Well, same concept. It starts with taking responsibility. Okay, how do I take responsibility over the messages that my kids get? And I've thought a lot about that recently. And I think part of it for me, like one of the things I really need to work on is like getting off my phone when I'm around my kids. Easier said than done, right? But like when I'm around my kids, like if I can put my phone down and be with the kids and be at the dinner table and have a conversation, like I increase my chances of impacting and influencing the messages that my kids are going to be receiving. And I think that, especially with social media, like the dopamine effect, right, of like hitting the reward system in our minds, right, like the reels, the funny, like the 10-second reels are like hitting that dopamine, 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 and that's what's really attracting a lot of people to social media, to video games, to electronics. It can feel like a losing battle because when you get off of the electronic device that you've been on for 3 hours and go talk to someone, it can be very boring. It could feel like, man, like I don't, this is not as entertaining, right? But there's been studies done that actually show that relationships, the feeling you get from feeling from relationships, from the connectedness of relationships, from feeling valued, can actually combat that dopamine fix. So it is within our power to be able um, to help our kids, even in a world of electronics, right? Um, so just some important messages there that I just wanted to share with you today, and take the time to really think about. If you have any questions, or um, if you wanted to add anything, I'd love to hear just your story, hear your questions, see how we can continue to set a conversation around improving our relationships, or improving ourselves, our mental health, ourselves as individuals. Um, and yeah, man, I appreciate you listening through this entire episode, and I appreciate the follows and the likes and the engagement. And it takes a lot of time to put this together, so it's really nice to know that maybe some of these points are helping in some way. So, and if you have questions, please reach out to me. I can uh, read your question, or answer it personally. It's up to you. Manny at mrtherapistmft.com. I'll put that in the show notes. But yeah, man, that's my message for today. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was valuable. And if so, please remember to subscribe, to hit the follow button, so that you're notified about the episodes as they come out. I'm trying to bust them out every week. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but you can understand that being a family driven individual, right? So, my, that's all for today. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you.